Hi, this is Christine. It is February 3rd, 2015. It's in the afternoon/evening. And I want to share something that came to me. I don't know if this is going to make any sense to anybody or even to me, but I figured I'd share it anyways. When I got online today, I usually go through Yahoo for a search engine. There are like news articles that pop up, like what's being most read lately. And this article popped up earlier today. It was about a fish. And he's actually called a goblin fish, Goblin. And he looks a little bit like one of those swordfishes. He's got like a really long beak, long nose. It's kind of flat though, more like a little bit like a paddle, rather than a sharp pointed sword like a swordfish would have. They say that they grow about 12 to 14 feet long. They're found in very deep, dark waters, like about 3,000, 4,000 feet down into the water. He's not the prettiest looking thing, but what struck me when I saw the picture, which is what made me want to read the article, is he was obviously dead. At least I hope he was dead, because if he wasn't, he would be suffering because he's out of the water. But it looked like he was dead, and on the table, and it was like a metal surgical looking type of table. They had him on a blanket, but he was on the blanket, which was on the surgical table, and he was all in one piece, and nobody had cut him up or nothing or anything. But the picture that I saw was his eyes, and his eyes were receded a little bit into his head, but his eyes just looked really sad, which I would imagine is what happens when you die. You're not exactly jumping for joy and happy. You're sad. And that was what struck me, and his eyes just looked really sad. So I clicked on the link to read the article, and I did read it. That's how I know about him. The 3,000 to 4,000 feet where he swims, and he's 12 to 14 feet long. But they said that this was an adolescent goblin fish, shark type thing. I don't know what he was. He was, he was kind of big. So I don't think he was a fish. I think he was probably more like a shark. But they said he was an adolescent. So he wasn't full grown, 12 to 14 feet long. And they said that he got caught at 2,000 feet. So obviously he was trying to surface or something like that. He was going up. He should have been staying down in the 3,000 to 4,000 feet level with the rest of his sharks. But instead he went up to the 2,000 foot level, and that's where he got caught. He got snared into a fish net, and they brought him on the ship, and that was the end of him. Now, I know that animals, they have God's spirit in them, and I know that they probably feel pain. Whether they have emotion, they probably have emotions too, because like I said, when I looked at his eyes in the picture, his eyes look kind of sad, and that's what made me want to read his article. But the only thing I could think of is Mommy and Daddy goblin shark, down at 4,000 feet. And they're probably wondering, where is Junior? And then, they probably realized that he got caught in a net, and he's not coming back home. And that saddened me also. I almost wanted to cry just reading this article, thinking about it. The article didn't talk like that. It's just what I was thinking, that, if your youngster's missing, you're gonna miss him. And Mama and Daddy Goblin Shark are probably realizing that he's not coming back, that he probably got caught in a fishnet, and that's the end of him. And it was, because he was laying dead on this medical surgical table. This article kind of affected me. So then I started thinking, this is kind of like what happens to people when they're trapped in religion. Okay, we've got the abyss, which is the deep, dark waters. We've got the Dead Sea, SEA, which is, again, sea. Waters in Scripture are people. So you've got the Dead Sea. You've got a sea of people who are dead. Okay, whether they're dead in religion or whatever, they're the walking dead. You got them in darkness. They die when they come out of the water. They're fish. They're used to gills and water and whatever other creepy looking big fish are down there. Okay, we already know Leviathan, the sea serpent, is swimming down there, and he kind of rules the abyss and the water and the darkness down there. As a fish, if you come out of the water, you will die because you've got gills. This is the transformation that God is trying to do in people's lives. He's trying to transform you from a fish into a person. This almost sounds like Darwin. Good grief. I never thought about that until just now, because everyone thought Darwin was crazy, but you know what? There might actually be something to it. Because with Darwin, he was saying that animals, they came out of the water and then they evolved, and eventually the gills turned into lungs, and they eventually were able to walk, to just adapt and walk. I mean, he's saying this happened over millions of years, which, obviously makes no logical sense, but now that I think about it, there might actually be something to it in the spiritual realm. So the fish, okay, the fishing net. Jesus is the fisherman. He's trying to fish the fish out of the water. When you come out of the water, if you're still a fish, you don't understand stuff, and you die in the oxygen, because above the water, under the water, is water and blackness and darkness. That's why some fish actually have lanterns on their head. Some of really weird, goofy looking fish that swim at the bottom. I mean, everybody, I think, has seen them in books in school. But when you come above the water, there's air, there's sunshine, there's wind, breeze, trees blowing in the wind, there's flowers, there's animals. The water world is completely different from the oxygen world on land versus the water. And if we're fish in the water, because we're in the abyss, the blackness, the darkness of night, when we get caught in the fishnet, because we're also supposed to be fishers of men, when we get caught in the fishnet and you come up, if you don't transform into something that has lungs instead of gills, you're going to die. Just like that fish, that goblin fish. He got caught and he died because it wasn't his world, it wasn't his element. He died because a fish out of water dies. When we're caught in religion and we don't transform, and then we get caught in Jesus' net and he brings us onto land, you either transform from darkness to light, from a fish to a person, from gills to lungs, meaning you have to transition your head, your mind, your thinking. You've got to transition from the religion and stuff into love. And this is what I think Anna's been trying to talk to people about. It's transitioning from the law to love, from darkness to light. And we all know that God is, He's the God spark. He's life force. He's life energy. Nothing exists without Him. Your breath of life inside of you is Him. And this is why when people go out looking for God, seeking and searching for Him outside of themselves, what they don't realize is if you're breathing, if you're living and breathing, you have oxygen going in and out of your lungs, God is inside of you because He's your life breath. If He wasn't inside of you, you wouldn't be breathing, you'd be dead. Okay, and your body wouldn't be alive anymore. So God is inside of you. He's not somewhere outside of you. And that's what religion tells you, that God's outside of you, and you got to go looking for Him and search for Him, and you got to work for it, and you got to study, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. And people just do everything to try to turn their world upside down, still never feeling worthy. And that's the darkness, guys. That's the abyss. That's the blackness. It's walking around the dark, feeling the walls, because there's no light for you to see where you're going. And you just keep running into walls, running into doors, you don't know where you're going. It's because you're walking in the dark. That's where religion keeps you at. In the dark. And when you come into the light, which is love, up on the land, that's when you find your way. So I just wanted to share that because that's what I got just from reading this article about this fish. And I might even post a link to the article in the notes section in case anyone wants to read it. But I just felt really sorry for him, and that's everything that came to me just by looking at that article and reading it. So I figured I'd share it. It's about transformation, guys. We're in the dark, black abyss. Jesus catches you in the fishnet, and you gotta transform from blackness to light. Otherwise, you're gonna die on land, because a fish taken out of the water dies. If you can't adjust, if you can't learn, you're gonna die spiritually, just like that fish. That's what came to me. Okay, thanks guys. Have a great day and take care. God bless. Bye-bye. Guys, one other thing about coming out of the water, getting caught in Jesus' fish net. If a fish, if they're not able to transform from the abyss to land, which is transforming from law to love, transforming from the earthly to the heavenly. Okay, that's what the transforming is. The water is the sea of people. It's the abyss. It's law, religion, death, bans, bondage, rules, regulations. This is clean, this is unclean, etc., things like that. That's death, okay? Because it limits you. It puts you in a box, and it puts you in a straitjacket and tells you what you're allowed and what you're not allowed to do. That's the death bans. When you come out of the water, you're able to walk freely on the land. And that's like going from death and the earthly realm to heaven and the love realm. if a fish comes to the surface, Jesus catches him in his net. He comes to the surface, but he doesn't transform, meaning he can't make the mental shift to come out of religion, out of the book. If he can't make the mental shift, then he dies in the air, in the earthly realm, he dies on the land. And what happens to fish that are dead? They get thrown back into the water, back into the black abyss, which is death. So people start out in death. Jesus gives them a shot, a chance to transform. And you've got it right now, guys, through Anna. You need to realize that, okay? Because Jesus sent Anna into the pits of hell because we were all stuck down there. He sent Anna down into the pits of hell for her to be a light and a lamp. And he led her the whole way. And for those who saw her light, they followed her. They dumped everything and they followed her. And she made it through. And if you were following her, then you made it through right after she did. Because you followed her and her light. And for people who didn't see her light and didn't understand and criticized and ridiculed her and left her channel, etc., you guys just decided to stay in the darkness. That's all I can think of. And I know this video might get some people angry. I'm not trying to get people angry. I'm just trying to wake people up. So Jesus is giving you a shot at freedom when he catches you in the fish net and brings you to the surface. And it's through Anna's information. If you can listen to it and let it work in your heart and let it transform you, then you can turn from a fish to a person, like with Darwin. And your gills will turn into lungs, and you'll get feet and legs instead of fishing, instead of swimming with fins and scales. You have to be able to transform, because an abyss fish can't live in a heavenly air, oxygen environment. And people stuck in religion will not get the kingdom of heaven mentality. They don't understand it. They don't get it. And that's how you die. Up on land. And then you just get thrown back into the abyss, the waters, the dark waters, and you go right back into darkness, which is the same as death. Because when you're in a coffin, it's a box. It limits you by the rules and regulations. And it's dark in there. Because you've got sides, a top, and a bottom, and everything is nailed shut. So you're stuck in the darkness of your own coffin, of your own death, down in the abyss waters. That's where people are at right now. Jesus is trying to get you to come out, to transform and to live. And if people can't adjust, you're a fish who gets caught and then gets thrown back into the abyss. Maybe you gotta learn to grow up and to mature a little more, and then you get caught again in the future. I don't know. But I just don't want to see anybody stay in the abyss for longer than they have to. And I don't think Jesus wants you guys staying in the abyss either. Why do you think he made a way out? If he made a way out, you need to take it. Otherwise his work was in vain. Why did he make a tunnel? Why did he make an out exit for you if you guys won't even take it? and you decide, no, I'm going to stay in religion and in my darkness and in my abyss and my depths and my pit. I got a lot from this fish article. I have no idea why or where this stuff came from, but I've been thinking about it. I saw the article earlier today, and I've been thinking about it, and I just felt I would do the video. I don't know, maybe it'll help somebody. If not, it's okay. At least I shared it, because that's mainly what I wanted to do. So, I hope everybody is well, okay? You guys find your way out. The kingdom of heaven is here now, guys. And it's easy to find. It's just a change, it's a shift of your mind. That's all it is. Pray over it if you need help. God will help you. But remember, God is inside of you. He's not outside of you, okay? So, take care. God bless, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.